Spectrum wants to hear your views. You can SMS at any time during the show. Type Spectrum, leave a space, type in your contribution and name, then send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
A very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host, Edmond Kizito. On Spectrum, tonight inside of Parliament, the NRM National Executive Committee blocks debate on term limits and succession. How is the party justifying this decision? The chairman of the ruling NRM party, also President Yoweri Museveni, has warned party members to stay away from the ongoing debate on the reinstatement of the presidential term limits, indicating that those who will not take it will face action, including possible expulsion from the party. To underscore this resolve, the party has reconstituted its disciplinary committee and tasked it with the responsibility of ensuring that this warning is stuck to. The campaign to have presidential term limits reinstated was started by civil society organizations under an umbrella called the Citizen Action on the Restoration of Presidential Term Limits, before a group of MPs, including NRM members led by Western Uganda Youth MP Gerald Karuhanga. This one is an independent, not an NRM member. Energized this campaign by announcing plans to table a private members' bill to amend the constitution and have the limits that were scrapped in 2005 reinstated. The NRM leadership is insisting that it took a decision on term limits and that the time for discussing this matter and issues of succession cannot be tolerated at the moment. But those behind the campaign are scoffing at the party, insisting that the populace of this country is supreme in this matter and that they must speak through their representatives in Parliament. Now, the collection of signatures to support a motion by Honorable Karuhanga has gathered momentum, and early next week they will be forwarded to the Speaker's office for action. So tonight on Spectrum, we ask, why is the NRM blocking debate on the presidential term limits and succession? Also, was this a consensus matter or wish by only a few? Our guests tonight, Honorable Mary Karoro Okurut, Information and National Guidance Minister, also spokesman of the NRM party.
Spokesperson and
spokesperson.
Gender.
I thought I'd passed my lessons in gender sensitivity. I need to go back for a refresher course. Spokesperson of the NRM party. Most welcome, Madam Okurut.
Thank you very much, and good evening, listeners.
We also are joined by Ms. Norah Matovu Winyi, a former chairperson of Fida, now a part of the Citizens Action for the Restoration of Presidential Term Limits. You're most welcome, Madam Winyi.
Thank you. Good evening, listeners.
Why do you want to restore term limits?
There are three reasons which I could allude to. The first one, when I reflect or when I walk down memory lane, considering the time we got the new government in 1986, the time of the constitutional making process in Uganda started 1988 through 1995. It was so clear and obvious to most of us who were very instrumental in those debates and discussions that the issue of term limits for the presidency was not an issue for discussion in the context of Uganda and our political history. So that, for me, is the beginning of this discussion. It's the main reason that at no time in that discussion, the consultations which were carried out across the country, was this a debatable issue. And it went through the constitutional making process without serious discussion, because it was obvious to us that if we are to safeguard the future of our country, term limits had to be part of our constitutional order. The second reason is, when I reflect back on the process that led to the removal of term limits from our constitution, it makes me sad, because at that time we spoke our voices hoarse to clearly indicate to the leadership, to our representative in Parliament, that the majority of Ugandans were not in support of amending that particular provision in the Constitution. And it was not in the interest of the ruling party, so of course it is very easy for people who are educated, who are well versed with the law, to use the loopholes in the system to be able to achieve what they want. But personally, I felt cheated. That 10 years from the time we adopted a very progressive constitution, it was considered appropriate and even possible to remove the most uncontested provision from our constitution. So for me, I really believe that if we want to take back our country on the right course in terms of the future, this is one provision that must be restored. And the third reason, I have children who right now are above 21. So they are eligible to vote in the next election in 2016.
Yes.
And I consider it my responsibility in terms of creating a legacy to pass on to them as the future of this country, to be able to hand over a constitutional order that can protect their interests, the development of this country. And it's an accepted practice world over that term limits on the presidency in particular is one safeguard you have against excesses. And I would want my children to appreciate that, to support it, and to be able to vote in 2016 when they understand the significance of a leader coming to give their total service for a period of time, especially in the most important office in this country, and hand over peacefully to the next leader. Those are my three reasons.
All right. I mean, you mentioned the historical side of it. 88 to 95, the constitution making process. It was about 7 years, then 10 years of practice, and then it's scrapped. But it's not that a country can change their mind. They can get born again in their view. Britain doesn't have term limits, for instance.
I mean, if we are to read some of the memorandum which was submitted by the citizens of this country to that whole process of constitutional
review
commission, in 2005.
The CR gone?
Yeah, it is very obvious. This was not an issue to be removed from the term limits. Was not something which was obvious that it could even happen. So we actually felt cheated, and many of us who were very active, as part of the movement system, because we were all part of it, at that time became lukewarm.
All right.
We do not
you lost your fire.
Definitely.
All right. Madam Okurut, why do you not want these term limits restored?
First of all, Edmond, I want to comment on the news item that you read out.
Yes.
Because you said that President Museveni has blocked debate on term limits. Did you say
it was tactical? He didn't say term limit. He said if something has not been discussed, he went around, but the message is the term limit. He said people are debating term limits and doesn't want them to talk about it. So he said don't discuss anything outside of this, whatever. He's talking about term limits.
Yeah, but he didn't block debate, and NRM never blocked the debate.
Go on.
Yeah, absolutely not. So it is really a misconception, and people, I hear people running around and saying NRM is muzzling debate on term limits. My sister here is talking. Has anybody come to muzzle you?
I hope not. No. I seriously hope not.
No, so, but what NRM is talking about is within the party. And every party is a political family. And every political family has got its own rules and regulations. Nobody has blocked discussion within NRM. All that NRM has said, and it is talking to its political family.
Yes.
You get that? It is talking to its political family. And NRM has said, please, if you want to discuss the issue of term limits, do so within the party regulations and within the organs of the party. For instance, to put it straight, for instance, if you are a member of NRM and you want to discuss on debate term limits, you can write a memorandum and pass it through the party organs. For instance, legislators, members of parliament, if they want, they can write this memorandum and take it to our chief whip in parliament, and then It may go even up to the Central Executive Committee of the party and eventually to NEC, like we have just had NEC. And it will be discussed, and the party will take a position. That's not too much to ask of a party member. It's not that they're being muzzled. But we, as the NRM is saying, I shouldn't say we, NRM is saying that please, let's adhere to the way of doing things. If any of these parties, DP, CP, all of them have got rules and regulations. So nobody is muzzling any member of NRM. But what is being said is please pass through the party organs, we discuss it, we debate it, and the party takes a position. That's all. So what is so difficult about that? So when you say President Museveni blocks, that is not true.
Well, but the impression is
that is uncomfortable
with the discussion about term limits.
He's not uncomfortable. He's only saying, and he is on record, and he has consistently said these things. He's on record as having said, please, let us pass through the party organs, because that is how it is done. People ask me, say, what are your views about term limits? What are your own views? But I belong to a party. If we are in the party caucus, or if we are in any of these organs, I'll stand up and give my views freely. And that is where I should give them. Outside that, you cannot ask me, for instance, here on radio to say, Maria, what do you think about term limits? You are not my party. I will say it in the party.
Yes.
So nobody is muzzling debate. President Museveni is not blocking debate, but he's saying there is this forum within the party. Let's go through it, and then we shall reach a consensus. That's all.
What's wrong with that, Madam Norah?
Maybe I could put a question to her and ask. For instance, I think the members of parliament are the ones who have started that debate in the House, or among themselves. So if they came to a constituency which has representatives who are belonging to different parties, to different groupings, and some of us who are not part of any party, and we want to discuss with our representative this issue, would that be acceptable? Because members of parliament should be free to interact with the citizens within their constituency, and you cannot say that all the constituents are members of the NRM party.
No, but you are right. That is a very good question. But what we are saying is they can discuss with you, but but they are going to tell you that the party is going to take a position, because we are going forward, because that, I'm sure that is the intention. We are going forward our views to the party organs, and the party will take a position, and then we'll bring that position to you. I really...
You really think they are... Let's look at... Why do you think they are going outside of the party organs? Maybe they feel throttled. They can't talk inside of the party.
But why should they feel throttled? You cannot feel throttled, because you can stand up. For instance, this NEC which we have just had, people say whatever they feel on any subject.
Well, there was an agenda. They said, let's have term limits. Somebody said the typing has been done. Forget about that.
No, but let me tell you, the next NEC meeting is 6 months' time or something like that. And if people want it on the agenda, if they have gone through, they have presented their memoranda, it has gone to NEC, it has gone to the Central Executive Committee, it will be on the agenda. If they want it, nobody, really, for me, this muzzling, I still don't understand it.
Well,
if
but these MPs
the answer to my question is that if my representative, who I'm not so sure,
you don't know who he is.
Remember division, because there's a bit of confusion there.
Where's the confusion?
Sing. You have a...
Yeah, if my representative comes, to our women's meeting, we are trying to clean one of the roads in our constituency, and we ask this person that, this issue is something which has come up.
It has come up with
discussion. Can you enlighten us? Yes. And maybe we even ask a very direct question. What is your thinking about this? They cannot share because the NRM has not come up with a position.
Let me tell you.
Or can they also speak as Ugandans and have a position of their own.
You see, we are going back to what I said. Like, if you ask me, or if my constituents ask me, I will say I'm going to give you a view in the party. Because what I'm going to give you is not my view. You understand?
Yes.
It will be the view of the party. Then after that, and you see, when the time comes, you see, when there was this amendment in 2005,
yes,
it was a democratic process, and the majority of Parliament voted for the amendment,
yes,
of this clause.
But you know,
yes,
the circumstances in which that happened.
Which one are you talking about? No,
let's hear the circumstances, then we go.
Let's hear the circumstances.
Maybe you don't want to go on the record, but let's talk about some people think they were given facilitation. They were given 5 million shillings to buy airtime to consult with their and buy fuel.
You know, we have repeated this. I have repeated it until my voice has gone hoarse. Let me tell you, because NRM members were given facilitation to go and explain the constituents and get their views,
yes,
and get their views. So people said, oh, NRMPs were bribed with 5 million.
Which was not true.
Let me ask you, and I want to ask my sister, if anybody was to be bribed, would you bribe, if at all?
Yes.
Do people bribe their opponents? Or do they bribe those who... You cannot bribe somebody who supports you.
On your side.
But you are not sure whether they support you or not.
Why not?
I might be part of a party, and I have a different view on this particular
You don't agree
issue.
with certain things.
I was also a member of the NRM, and on the part of the on term limits, I definitely parted ways.
Which is fine. Which is
I
fine
could
because
see that the party is not listening to what we are saying.
Let me tell you that it is perfectly okay for you to have your different views. I mean, not everybody is going to have the same view, and we accept that. But once you belong to a party, you see, because you are saying now you are non-partisan.
Now floating.
Now you are floating. Now that you are floating, you are independent. You can say whatever you want to. Yeah, on any subject. But when you belong to a party, you have got to adhere.
So how
you should adhere.
Correct line. Let's talk about the substance here. These MPs know all these procedures. That's the pedantic way to do it. They should be able to pass this memoranda and so on. But some of them have spoken out very passionately about this issue outside of those fora. They feel they're not going to be listened to because there's a strong feeling that term limits should stay.
They are going to be listened to if they present their memoranda. How can't you be listened to?
Will President Museveni stand in 2016?
But I am not the party. It is the party which will select the presidential candidate.
If they select him, he will stand again for maybe another 2 terms, run the country for 40 years.
You seem to have information which I don't have.
No, I'm asking.
Because I'm saying it is a subject for the party. Are you going
to tell
DP? Are you going to tell DP that please, this is the candidate you should front?
No,
so when the time comes, NRM will cast the vote for any of the candidates and will pick.
Well, yesterday the president said in case he dies in office, the vice president is there. Does he want to rule for life?
Does that mean that...
well, he said if I die in office.
Yeah, so does that mean that he wants to rule for life? It doesn't.
Well, it's the first time he's spoken in those terms since he came to power.
But there's nothing wrong, because people have been saying, but he clearly said, what's wrong with the vice president, which is true.
Does it bother you that this country has never had a peaceful transfer of power? President Museveni could have been the first man to do it.
We are going to have a peaceful transfer of power. Don't you worry about it.
When do you expect that?
Not
from the left to the right, but from one man to another.
Well, I don't know when this will be.
It could be a woman.
Yeah, why not? You see how they relegate us to the back.
How is the NRM funded?
We contribute. We contribute, for instance, members of parliament contribute a certain amount of money, and we are not few. As you know, we are the majority, more than 200. So we contribute, and members of the Central Executive Committee also contribute. Like now, we are going to put up the movement house.
After 26 years. You had one in 5 years.
Why do you want to make those comparisons? for us, we took our time and we are going to put up the house.
27 floors.
Yes.
One for each year, 27 years next year.
Well, you are ahead of me.
Well, listeners, this is Spectrum on Radio 1. Tonight, inside of Parliament, the NRM National Executive Committee blocks debate on term limits and succession. How is the party justifying this decision? We'll go for a break. Our guests are Honorable Karoro, Okurut, Information and National Guidance Minister, also spokesperson for the party, and Ms. Norah Matovu, former chairman of Fida, now part of the Citizens' Action for the Restoration of Presidential Term Limits. We'll be back. Do stay tuned.
When Junior lost his appetite, his mother tried all methods to get him to eat. She tried scary stories.
Eat, Tommy, eat, or the big black elephant will come and eat all your food.
She tried magic.
Tommy, if you eat your food, I will turn this handkerchief into sweets. Look, bumble, bumble, boom, boom.
Then she discovered Apetol multivitamin syrup with lysine.
Mommy, I finished all the food. I am number 1.
Apetol multivitamin with lysine is helping mothers to turn mealtime frustration to a fun moment. Apetol has a great taste and contains lysine, which quickly improves your child's appetite and supports healthy growth. Apetol, health for life.
Let the sunlight in.
Good morning, sunshine of my life. You look happy today.
I am. I came in here and I saw there was a whole pile of washing to do.
But I thought you didn't like doing the washing.
No, I love it. Anything else you need washed?
Sunlight 2-in-1 with added fabric softener. Smells so good, you want to use it again and again.
Let the sunlight in.
Sunlight 2-in-1. Sunlight clean, sunlight fresh.
Sunlight in. Happiness is all around. Let the sunlight in.
John, Mike and I, we go back a bit. We knew John at the beginning, working for someone else. But he was different. He had vision, saw opportunities. He started working towards his goal, opened his own garage, and worked, learning the hard way. His reputation spread. Trust, consistency, quality. Soon people were coming to him from all parts. He made himself and his whole street prosper, and also helped friends, seeing potential in people and helping them on. But John never shouts about all his success. He's just who he is. Special.
So here's to men like John, who make a difference, who enjoy Nile Special, the rich, satisfying taste from the source. Nile Special. You've earned it.
Not for sale to persons under 18.
Accept no substitutes.
Radio 1, FM 90.
Come back on Spectrum tonight inside of Parliament. The NRM National Executive Committe blocks debate on term limits and succession. How is the party justifying this decision? Our guests tonight, people who would know well, Honorable Karoro, Okurut, Information and National Guidance Minister, also spokesperson for the NRM party, and Ms. Norah Matovu, Winyi, former chairperson of Fida, that's a women lawyers group, also part of the Citizen Action for the Restoration of Presidential Term Limits. You will be able to call in and contribute to this discussion. Madam, when you talk to us about this process, what exactly are you doing, how do you intend to bring it to fruition?
I'm not so sure I want to give you all the things we are planning to do, but I'll just outline one or two things.
Yes.
One is we are definitely putting together a very good group of lawyers who are looking at our legal framework, as well as trying as much as possible to see the options we have, which will lead us to restoration of the term limits. So we want to handle this as professionally as possible, not being emotive, but exploring the options that are available through our legal system. The second one, we believe that to be able to restore term limits, Ugandans need to be actively involved in this process. It is our country, and the people need to pronounce themselves on whether they want this to happen or not. So one of the things that is being done at different levels is to have the discussion, the debates, be able to map out the history of what has led us to this point.
Well, we know the history.
Not everyone knows the history.
Action.
No. Not everyone knows the history, because history is not as important as the future, but the history informs the future. And if we let the ball drop this time round, as citizens of this country, I think we will forever really blame ourselves.
Well, it will bounce and it will come back again. There'll be another chance. You can restore them 20 years from now.
I think the time is right. This is the time for us to prepare for a smooth transition. We want to see change in the leadership of this country in 2016, and it's important that as citizens of this country we prepare for that in a way that will enable that to happen.
What's the danger of the absence of term limits?
I think term limits sorts it out. It makes it easy, because the current leadership will definitely not be in the equation for leadership.
Well, the party could have another person. The president
if they have another person, that is perfectly okay. That's what the
And why do you think they don't want to remove term limits? They don't want to restore them.
I think the best that question has to go to
give
the
us your non-analysis. You have to
sure whether they don't want to remove term limits. I think
restore them.
They took a position in 2005.
Yes.
It affected it affected the sanctity of the Constitution itself, and maybe I'm not so sure. Opening up the review of the Constitution is also making it, further undermining the credibility of our Constitution. So maybe it's one of the reasons which could be informing the party not to go in that direction. But I think we cannot lose the opportunity to do it now, when the people who remember where we have come from as a country are still alive, and we are able to safeguard the future of our country.
Now is the time.
Now,
let us seize the moment.
Yes.
History will judge us.
Yes.
Let's talk about, would you have a referendum, for instance? Is that one of your strategies?
Definitely. I think, for me, I do not trust the parliament.
Oh.
Seriously? They need to participate as citizens. We actually have a choice, and as lawyers we shall definitely find those options. So if the referendum is what will safeguard restoring the term limits, we will definitely explore that option.
But President Museveni has named a successor. Second is going to follow him in power.
But
why don't you wait?
Why
don't you wait? He's already announced he's going to leave and leave the chair to second.
I don't think it's a matter of the president, the current president, and the successor through the NRM system. We are saying it's a principle for us to have term limits, so that not again in our country should we have a president who serves us as citizens for more than 10 years. It safeguards excesses at the leadership level, especially at the presidency. I think we have slipped back into problems of nepotism and all those things we tried so hard to rid this country of because of staying for so long in power.
Madam Okurut.
Let me tell you, it is erroneous for some of our people to think and say that, without term limits, you are breeding a dictator and all those bad things. It's not true. It's not the presence of term limits that ensure good leadership. President Museveni has, as everybody knows, all these years, he's not a dictator. We are not complaining. But people, no. Now, and secondly, what I wanted to say, none of these articles in the Constitution was cast in stone.
It can be changed.
Constitutions are there, they can be amended.
It happened in 1967, so
there are so many constitutions.
Only the Bible cannot change, probably.
Absolutely. And the Englishman says that it is only dead people and fools who do not change their minds. And
the Constitution is a living document.
Yes.
It can change.
So it can be amended, and then you bring up that that President Museveni is at the same time blocking debate on succession, which is not true. Let me tell you, NRM has been preparing for succession all these years. Look at all these young people in the system.
Yes.
That is preparing for succession.
Don't leave out the vice president. The president named him the other day.
Yeah, but why are you being cynical about it?
Well, the president said that
but Honorable Second can ably lead this country. There's no doubt about it.
Go on. No one is casting doubt upon it.
That's why do you keep on rubbing it in?
Well, you're saying the young men.
I'm just giving an example.
Go on.
That NRM has been grooming successors all this time. Look at all these in the various districts. The LC5s, all those are possible successors. So it's not true. And debate has not been stifled about succession, because all the time, it's like when you have milk and you are churning and the cream keeps coming on top. So NRM is churning that milk and the cream is coming on top. So nobody has said or has blocked debate on succession, because NRM is grooming successors, and there are very many in the field. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Does the constitution give too much power to the chairman, the NRM constitution?
No.
It does.
Not too much power, no. Because everything, for instance, the Central Executive Committee of the party wields a lot of power. And it's, the decisions which it takes at that point are not informed by the president. Of course, the chairman has got to guide the party.
Well, he's chairman. He has to be there,
he's chairman.
Yes.
But for instance, the Central Executive Committee is vested with a lot of powers, and so is this NEC. NEC has a lot of powers.
The National Executive Committee.
Yes, it can say no to a lot of things, or it can,
NEC is above SEC, isn't it?
Sorry?
Which is higher?
SEC, the Central Executive Committee.
SEC is at the top.
Yes.
All right. So when shall we see a Secretary General? You have one man doing too many things, apparently.
Well, as it is, it has been deferred, and the chairman have said he will come up and guide the party, and this may, I don't even want to speculate.
Right.
It could be in the next NEC meeting, which is I think
in 6 months' time.
Yeah. So we'll wait.
Would it be the chairman guiding the party, or the institutions within the party which would guide that process?
They do. That is because you see already in this very meeting, the matter came up and it was discussed at length. So that informed discussion is also what guides the chairman. Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. So people discuss freely.
Right. So what are you going to do about the rebels? Rebels in quotes, the ones who speak out of turn. The ones who don't want to go through the...
Yeah, but yeah, there's something else again which you read out, which is not correct. Because it is as if you are saying that the disciplinary committee is there to discipline anybody in the party whom they view as errant. And it's not true.
Yes.
The disciplinary committee, especially, you seem... you seem to think that the disciplinary committee at this particular time is there to discipline anybody who talks about term limits outside the party structures. That is not true.
It was implied.
But you are a lawyer.
Yes,
when you talk about implied, if something is implied, it is not necessarily true. The truth is, the disciplinary committee has been there. It has only been strengthened, not to.
It was already constituted.
Yeah.
Now
it's not.
The time is right.
People, by the way.
Can leave that to them. But the time is right. We need to constitute fully.
The people who are there are very capable. It doesn't. I think the age really doesn't matter.
What would they do to someone that doesn't please that breaks the rules from in the party?
The disciplinary committee.
What can they do?
Well, they will come up with the terms and conditions of their offices.
They could suspend or expel a firebrand.
Well, they will. Firebrands.
Julius Malema.
Yes,
who has a big following there because it was being cantankerous.
Well, we really hope we don't have to come to that, because as I said, I do not see anything wrong at all. If I want to put a position forward, for me to write a memorandum and submit it to, for instance, the NRM caucus or to the Central Executive Committee to be debated and discussed. What is important is to keep the lead open. If NRM was closing the lead, then we will know that sooner or later there will be an explosion.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the lid is not closed.
All right, let's hear from the listener. This is Spectrum on Radio 1 tonight inside of Parliament. The NRM NEC blocks debate on term limits and succession. We're trying to get the explanation for this from the spokesperson of the party. You can call in now. Our number 0414 348 111 0312 260 0312-261-390. When you call in, please tell us your name and where you are calling from. Spectrum, hello. Good evening, your name?
Yeah, thanks for getting to the studio.
Your name again?
Very impressed about the lady Norah.
What's your name?
By submission by Mary Karoro. Now, it is very
You have children, that's true. Spectrum, hello. Yes, your name? Can you switch off your radio or walk away from it? Your name again?
what I would like to say is that
Spectrum, hello. Hello. Yes, sir, your name? Your name? Dan, go on, Dan. Yes. We didn't hear that properly. Spectrum, hello. Yes, sir, your name? Your name? Richard, yes. All right. Yes, your name? Spectrum, hello. Yes. Good evening, your name?
Yeah,
All right. Spectrum, hello. Hello. Yes, sir, your name? Okay, this is Spectrum on Radio 1. Your name?
Yeah, Edmond.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, your name, my friend?
I'm Edmond. You're waiting for Kingdom.
Yeah. Spectrum, hello. Good evening. Please switch off your radio. Walk away from it.
Good evening.
Good evening. Your name?
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Your name?
I'm Dennis from Okurut.
Yes, Dennis. Yeah. Alright, let's get back to the studio. Madam Norah.
I'm surprised that we had some.
It was split 50-50.
Yeah. Someone said that restoring term limits is not a matter of urgency. There are many pressing issues. And I think I will kind of flip it on the other side and say that the current system has done everything possible to deal with some of the issues our country is grappling with, and I think it's also a good opportunity to try another set of leadership, if that is.
Well, but you can wait until election time. We'll have another
that's
one.
What I'm saying. We can wait until election time, but as I said, we are taking all options. The issue of the term limits is not necessarily looking at Museveni. I keep emphasizing that. For me, it's a principle. It's a principle that we want the presidency to have not more than 2 terms at any one time, whoever the leader is.
You can still change them, whoever it is.
So the maximum any leader should be, the president of this country should not be more than 10 years.
But you can get a good man. It's not easy to get a good
No,
performer.
there are so many good people. That's why we have invested in education in this country, and we have many prospective leaders. As she has rightly said, they are grooming leaders at every level. So it's not that we are bankrupt of leaders. So for me, the urgency is not about removing Museveni. The urgency is getting the principle back into our constitution and ensuring that in future we do not have any president who serves more than 10 years at the maximum.
But it's creating so much commotion. Why can't you wait until 2016?
It's causing a lot of commotion. I said it's a process of preparation. It is to get the citizens, well informed about this issue, and they will make.
But you're making it such a big thing. There's someone.
Of course, it's a big thing. We are talking about amending our constitution. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. Someone has said that the president is popular, and of course the vote can either knock him out or he can continue serving this country come to 2016. And I agree. If we do everything possible, which is legal, and I think that another speaker was saying that we should use parliament. Yes, we will definitely use parliament as well. We will collect signatures from every Ugandan or whoever supports this motion and
money.
Take it to the parliament. It doesn't need money, by the way. It needs commitment. Because I can go around my village without being paid a shilling, because I believe in what I am promoting. So it doesn't need money. And be able to convince members of parliament if you are seriously representing Ugandans, these are their views. And if they go against that, then I don't think this country has actually grown or evolved in terms of its democratic development.
Madam Okurut.
Yes, this gentleman who says NRM minus Museveni will not survive.
Yes.
You see, he's actually saying that the party is Museveni, and that is to insult the intelligence and the capacity of NRM members. Because definitely, NRM as a party has got very many capable leaders. We've talked about the vice president. So when he says NRM minus Museveni will not survive, it is not true. Yeah, it's a fallacy. It will survive. It is a mass party. It is a mass party. Well, we know that any vacuum, if you create any vacuum, sometimes there are challenges, but those challenges are always surmounted. And yes, we are saying, all we are saying is that we got the poll. You see, if there are no term limits, the ballot will make sure that term limits are there.
But you know very well that elections are manipulated.
How are they manipulated?
So there is nobody who goes through without manipulating. Nobody goes through without manipulating
you
them.
know very well that they are manipulated. That is a discussion for another day. When you invite me, I'll give you details.
Give us a feel of it. Well, how are they done?
I think you saw very...
yes, go on.
Let's discuss it another time.
Well, give us a feel of it. Maybe even as we discuss another time. Give us the snippet.
You know
how are they manipulated?
But there are so many, like for instance, if you look at the present parliament, there are very many MPs who never made it back. Therefore, the ballot, when you go to the ballot and you cast your ballot, it will ensure that you are either kicked out. Those are your term limits. In other words, you are not coming back. And all we are saying is, unless otherwise changed, but if it is not changed, then and you know, my sister, you're saying that you want, it's Parliament really.
For me, I think
the amendment will come through Parliament. Because that is where, if the debate goes on and the discussion, that is where the debate will come, in Parliament.
Yes.
Yes.
I think we need to differentiate between voting for members of Parliament and voting for the President of this country. The kind of powers that the presidency has as an office is very different. No member of Parliament is a commander of our armed forces.
Yes.
Not at all. There are certain powers the president has that not any other leader in this country has. That is one of the reasons why it is very easy to actually have excesses in that office, and justifies limiting a person holding that office for a period of time to have a maximum number of years. It is a practice that has proved right in more developed democracies.
They don't have them in Japan or even the UK. In Japan, they change prime minister.
But you bring in the question of the army.
Yes.
We have had elections and by-elections in some parts of the country, and you find that you have, for instance, an army barracks. The people within
they vote FDC?
Not necessarily FDC, but the NRM candidate may not win there, overwhelmingly, which really means that it is one of the indicators that our democracy has taken root.
We shall do the analysis and be able to also speak on that more authoritatively, because the last elections, and I could speak about this, for example, in my own constituency, the North, where you just found
beloved MP.
total disregard of
all right, we'll talk about that. We have to go. Thank you very much, Adiages. Honorable Mary Karoro, Okurut, Information and National Guidance Minister, also spokesperson of the NRM party. Thank you very much for coming to Spectrum tonight, Madam. Miss Norah Matovu Winyi, a former chairperson of Fida, now a part of the Citizens Action for the Restoration of Presidential Term Limits. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. Kizito. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Up next is the news in English.
Everybody is a star, but some stars shine brighter. Oh,